Thanks, Mehdi. Thanks, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for inviting me. My name is Uwe Dreger. I'm responsible for the custody business in Western Europe. And at the same time, I'm the program owner for the T2S program in the bank. We are probably not comparable to each and every of the participants here. Basically because we are a regional service provider, right? There are some who are a similar sort of animal, I think, but if you look at the way we conduct our business, the service we are offering, it's clear we are not a single market provider. We are member in a variety of CSDs directly, and that actually caused a lot of thoughts and discussions internally. And I'd like to give you some overview in short, what we were thinking about, where we are coming from, and the conclusions, and what we think is important as a message for you to take home and maybe discuss internally. This is then, well, okay. So first of all, I can only reiterate what's been said already. The T2S may look like a technical change, but I think it's more than just a technical change. I mean, we are all, as participants, familiar to changes in the CSDs. We have to adapt on an annual basis, sometimes even faster. Various changes, whether it's in message flow, whether it's in the corporate event processing, or well, even implementation of new products and services. But this time, it's impacting the whole region. Right, so we have also the opportunity to actually combine now products and services. We were not able to do so in the past. So that actually should lead for everybody to think, what is my business model going forward? Am I a bank who is largely domestic, i.e. providing services to a client base that is a domestic client base? I mean, we've probably all experienced that clients tend to invest in their home country securities because clients believe that they understand much better what's going on in their home market than in other markets. Right? But one of the opportunities T2S is delivering, Europe is the home market. It's no longer Germany or Italy or the Netherlands. I mean, you now have the opportunity to really look abroad, your base country, your home country. We'll have the opportunity, or we'll see the opportunity of CSD competing. This is something that was raised from the very beginning from the Euro system. One of the purposes is to create competition amongst CSDs, right? So we know that CSDs sort of quasi-monopoly structures, they are not used to compete. And I think that will change, definitely, right? So especially players that are participants in more than one market will use the opportunity to actually try to get the services from any of the CSDs. Right? So this is whether this is the selected or preferred CSD, or whether this is a group of CSDs, or even whether there is a service combination where a CSD may use an agent, or an agent appoints a CSD for certain services on a collateral side or something like that. We will see various changes, things we haven't experienced in the past. And that is all accompanied with lots of regulations that is falling on us, right? So especially as a custodian, where you are servicing funds, for example, right? So there will be more scrutiny on the liability, and obviously we'd like to see a system that is supporting these liabilities, that allows us to manage them. I said we are active in multiple markets. So we'll have businesses across Europe. We have direct connection to multiple CSDs. And as such, it's our vested interest to actually get engaged locally as well as on a regional basis. Right, so this is just providing you an overview of the multiple groups, and there is many of them. This is not a finite list, right? So there is even more. I just wanted to avoid come up with a slide where nobody can read what's on there. And there's plenty of room, and all these meetings have to be stuffed. Right, so a single person can never cover everything. So it's not like you have to think about what is my business model. I think also you have to come up with, well, who is actually doing all this, right? So, I mean, we are far down the road by now. If you haven't identified people who actually will cover most of the points, I dare say you are probably too late. Client interaction is critical, right? So the way we are expecting that the CSDs and the Eurosystem is communicating with all the parties, I would expect that our clients are expecting the same way of communication from us as a service provider. Market harmonization is also something. I mean, it's not a secret. Agent banks live on the fact that the markets are not harmonized, right? If every market would work exactly the same way, then one can ask the question, what's the point of having an agent bank? The more surprising it may be that agent banks are heavily engaged here, right? So, and this is not only, well, I would also want to say this is definitely not about securing the own business model. Right, we have to change the business model, and this is along the lines like the questions Karin has put up on the previous presentation. This is exactly what was driving us as well, and that should drive you as well. Well, I said we are members in various countries. We are unfortunately not a member in all countries. But those where we are members, I think we are covering about 80% of the volume in the Euro region. We are servicing institutional clients mainly, and well, in order to support these clients, we thought about what is the setup. So the setup, we will definitely see more account operator models where clients will want us to operate their accounts. You will have the opportunity and the benefit of allowing remote access, something that is currently not available in all markets. We still have markets where I can only become a member of the CSD if I'm a local bank. I think that is going to change. So this is then additional questions. Do I want to become a member in all CSDs? Or in some CSDs only? Do I want to do this from the location, or do I want to do this from a hub? The client will have the opportunity to have a single account, and the hub will then create basically access to the various CSDs, i.e. a remote membership in most cases. DCP, ICP is a very important topic for us. It might be less important if the majority of the business is a single market, but as I said, this is not the case here. So we definitely had lots of discussions internally. What does it mean for us? Are we providing a DCP connection? And if yes, what is the model? You can think of a variety of solutions here. So one is if you want to become a DCP, maybe you just use the DCP to send instructions, but you would like to get all the reportings back via the ICP route. Or maybe you actually say, well, certain accounts I'd like to service as a DCP, others as ICP. So that depends a little bit on the criticality of the business and obviously whether you believe there is some benefit to it. Right? I know that there is lots of discussions about is there a business case to become a DCP? Right? Quite clearly, we believe there is, but that comes at a price. The challenge.
There is a question from the floor. Do you prefer to have it now, or?
No, we can answer the questions now. No problem at all.
Hi, just on the point of the DCP decision process, given obviously the feedback you're getting from your clients and the fact that repos are not in T2S as it currently stands, what's your view there? What's the client's view there? Is that going to be a major problem for lots of clients, or are they not really considering that as a major issue?
Well, I think it depends a bit on the business of the client, right? Some clients have critical times during the day if it's about moving collateral back and forth, where they would like to have the quickest way of sending the instructions, right? So, or sometimes if it's short to the market deadline and there is a bulk of instructions coming in, there is a perception that it may take longer if the instruction is sent to via the ICP mode than the DCP mode, right? I said perception because I think it's still a perception. Nobody knows yet whether this is the case. And therefore, there is some, well, I wouldn't say that many clients ask or demand from us, you have to be a DCP or ICP. Many tend to leave this at this stage to us to decide which is the best route. But I think that remains to be proven once we've done some real testing and see how this is going.
Okay, thanks.
Right. Then testing and migration challenge, right? The questions have largely been asked by Karen already in the previous presentation, right? So this is something that should guide you in what you need to do. What we were talking about is the points I listed in the blue boxes. Internally, the decisions are not final yet. We have not taken final decisions on each and every point mentioned here. But some points I'd like to pick out, like the first one, account setup, right? So the opportunities T2S will allow us with the combination of dedicated cash accounts, CMBs, and the way whether you operate accounts in your own name, whether you do account operator, this in itself allows already a variety of setups. You definitely need to think hard what you want to do, because each and every model will increase the effort, right? Because you have to test each and every model you want to set up. Right? So therefore, I don't want to say, well, limit the models and testing is getting easier. That's not the case. But it's actually the other way around, right? So don't inflate the number of different models and different setups just to be able to cover everything unless you really have a business need or a business case. The connectivity is, from our perspective, more or less a technical issue, despite the fact that it's been said it's not only about technical change, but here I think, well, you have to make up your mind how you want to connect and then implement it as quickly as possible. What's also interesting point is the process changes. I mean, if you just look at the new possibilities T2S is providing, right? So like that you can use the CMBs to better risk manage the flows, or even the new transaction types that will be implemented. And in some markets, like simple things like hold and release, which is not available in all markets as well. So that dramatically changes the infrastructure, that changes the processes you have to do in your own house. So we actually looked at how far can we harmonize internally across the region, and what would this mean in terms of getting prepared, and obviously how we do the testing on it. The end-to-end testing is something that is going to be critical. Yes? Can you please pick a microphone, then it's easier.
Yeah, so regarding the new transaction types you said, could you please elaborate a little bit on the new transaction types that are likely to be incorporated once T2S goes live?
Well, you have let me think now. The new types is delivery with payment, receive with payment, and payment free of delivery, I think, along these lines, for example, right? In many markets, you only have simple transactions where you exchange securities against cash. Pardon me? The OTC. Yeah, I'm talking OTC, right? Yeah, definitely. Right. So if you have a market where you have a CCP and the CCP is providing full netting, you already can have a situation where you only move cash and no securities because the securities volume is netted off. Or you have a situation where you can have get securities plus cash, right? So I'm not saying that this is happen regularly, but it can happen. And I think here we have a model that can support it, right? So in the same way, like you support the normal DVP, RVP instructions. And this is definitely something, well, you have to make your systems available in order to cope with it. Especially if a counterparty is sending instructions, new instruction types to you, you want to make sure that your system can handle these instructions. End-to-end testing, I said, this is something where we would engage our clients. Our systems, the CSDs, target to securities, including the central banks, right? So this is not easy, right? So if you remember, if there's a change in a local market, it's in many cases a change in the CSD. So what you do is testing between you as a participant and the CSD. So here we have many more parties. So that in itself is an effort that should not be underestimated. The last point, Big Bang, is especially important, I think. We have three pieces that have to work together, right? The T2S system has to work, the CSD has to work, and your own systems have to work, right? So there will undoubtedly lots of testing internally, right? So everybody will have tested internally to the extent possible. But then you put all the pieces together, and that is something which we heard this morning. There is about 58 hours over the weekend, and we all hope that this will work out, right? So the questions that we probably should discuss as well, but it's not been raised at this stage, what is if something goes wrong, right? I mean, we are doing the testing and we want to implement it, but what happens if something goes wrong, right? So I've seen in a presentation this morning, there is one of the points was called point of no return. So we'll have actually a point in time when, when we can only full steam ahead. If something goes wrong after that, then, well, you have to go through it and see how you can fix it. Yeah. But we have quite a lot of people engaged here in the setup, in the preparation, as I said, not only in the working groups, but in just to prepare the bank that we can actually accommodate whatever we want to have. And this is not determined by the CSDs or by T2S. This is actually providing you an opportunity to think about what is it, what I want to offer to my clients. And this is what you should focus on. Right?
Thank you very much, Uwe. Questions from the floor?
Hello. A very fundamental idea of laying this T2S platform is to increase the geographical horizon of all the actors. So maybe, like, say, presently there are maybe 18 or 19 countries in the Eurozone, and there are people, nations that are outside, not in the Eurozone right at this moment, who can also participate. So there will be a host, people will be having a host of options, say, in terms of market makers, in terms of banks to avail facilities of, in terms of CSDs, in terms of exchanges, in terms of underlyings, and the type of settlements. So do you think, I mean, from the Deutsche Bank perspective, is this going to make things more transaction costs more, in fact, increase the transaction cost instead of actually reducing them? Because there's a party which will have a host of choices. I mean, a market maker from the one part of Europe, the bank that it is availing is Nostro or Vostro facilities could be another.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, it's another part. So that's the question. And also, to add to it, there may be a change in time zones if we go from, say, east to west ends of Europe. So is that an additional challenge, especially when one has to put up collaterals, I mean, whosoever he's engaging with. So isn't there a chance that it will actually squeeze the liquidity and hence effectively increase the costs?
Well, that's more, from my point of view, a fundamental question towards T2S, not directly related to migration and testing, but I'll try to provide at least some answers, so maybe somebody else can add on as well. I think T2S has been designed in a way that we have a harmonized settlement day. Right, so therefore it's irrelevant whether a country is 1 hour ahead in terms of timing or 1 hour behind. Right, so because the T2S day is almost 22 hours. Right, so there is only a couple of hours downtime. You can settle around the clock, quasi. Secondly, we currently focus on those countries where the CSDs and the central bank have said we are committed to T2S. Right, so I know that there is an opportunity, and we'll see. Latest, Denmark is going to be the first non-euro currency that will be jumping on T2S. But as been said, maybe there are more earlier to come. But there is an opportunity that more markets will jump on the platform. Right, and I think in many cases it's a number of volume largely that drives the costs. Right, not necessarily the reach, but definitely the volume. Right, so this is also something that has been said this morning by Mark. I think he said they will stick to the cost per transaction at least until they have to review whether the volume is rectifying the original model. Right, the collateral squeeze. I mean, collateral is going to be become more important than it might be today in one or the other market. But what we think T2S is going to provide, it provides a centralization platform. So I can actually centralize my collateral requirements using T2S as a platform rather than distributed the way I have to do it today. So I do not believe that there will be an increased collateral cost. There is an increased demand for collateral, but that will definitely be offset by the way that I can use it as a centralization hub.
Maybe if I may bring my own personal view on this point, on the cost, but just making the parallel with what I said about the migration. So I said that the migration T2S is not a copy and paste of what exists today in the legacy. So it's totally different world. For the volumes that will be in T2S, we are very careful. So we are doing the exercise as if it will be the sum of the existing volumes. I'm ready to bet on the fact that it will not be the case. It will be something totally different. Here again, it's a totally different world. So there is something that we did not consider in any estimation or extrapolation about the cost and the revenues for T2S. It's what we can call the dynamic effect. So it's a kind of positive circle that will start at some point in time. So we have more opportunities. In some cases, I don't know, potentially because of the adaptation cost on the CSDs, etc., we might notice a slight increase for a period of time of the current cost. But this will go down. This will go down because, as Uwe mentioned, there will be some competition. There are new opportunities. And as soon as the prices will start going down, the volumes will start increasing. And when the volume increasing, the prices will go further down. So this is what I call the dynamic effect. It will start one side or another, either because the volume will increase one day or another, or because the prices will slightly decrease. And as soon as you have this dynamic starting, we cannot know when it will stop. But personally, I'm rather optimistic on this. It's a new world, and if we make a comparison with big geographical area that have the chance of having today already a single settlement platform, and you see the volumes and you see the prices, and I think that the two go hand in hand. The one will trigger the other, will encourage the other, and we would create more incentive to trade further, and further trading, further reduction in prices, etc. Maybe I'm too optimistic. I don't think so. Honestly, it's otherwise. I mean, even if you are too conservative in terms of how many markets will join in the future, in your question there was also a dimension of whether T2S will be or remain only European platform, or whether there are linked with other. So here again, it's something that we are not fully investigating. So, and we are rather conservative and taking the assumption that T2S is pure European. Yes, this is the starting point of it, but there are already some movement showing that it might change and be broader. So.
Especially it's a globally integrating scenario right now.
Yeah.
And also the collateral, T2S is a common platform for collaterals, then obviously that thing, that collateral squeeze is likely not to be there.
Yes, the single pool of collateral, this is an important point. So it's, you are maybe anticipating, we are working on this in terms of marketing. So we know that it will be there, so we have to make it explicit to the market participant that they can benefit from what T2S is offering in terms of facility to optimize their liquidity and collateral. So a lot of what Uwe said was going that direction. I don't know if we will manage to do it, but we are planning for the next cyber to do some marketing in that direction as well about the benefits that T2S could offer.
Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, just another question from me. With regard to, I guess, the modelling for testing that you're contemplating at the moment, and I think I'm thinking more lines of how much are you going to go into, not stress testing from a volume perspective, but more from a business events perspective? So the financial crisis, obviously, that we all lived through, the other events that have happened in the industry over the last 20 years, is that going to factor into any of your testing plans? Are you trying to simulate some of those instances and what that could do to the system?
Yeah, it's a good question. I will try to answer this. I mean, I have colleagues from the user testing subgroup and from other groups who can support me from the floor as well. So yes, there will be a lot of, so we have not covered all testing aspects in what we presented this morning. So we are focusing on what we call user testing. We have excluded from the presentation what we call the Eurosystem acceptance test, for example, which will be done by the program office at the ECB, and also the test that the 4CB are doing today. So we have seen them on the plan, but we have not provided any detail on this. Obviously, there will be a lot in terms of what we call non-functional testing. So this include contingency procedures, etc. So it's, but also a lot of on performance and volume testing and contingency situation. So mainly and primarily this is under the responsibility of the 4CB. However, as usual in this area, we are working in collaboration with the market. So the 4CB will be transparent on what they are planning to do in this field. They will share the test cases, the test plan with the market and the CSDs, who will be invited to give input and potentially suggest something on the top of that, or even to organize themselves non-functional testing. So in what we are discussing in the user testing subgroup, we are also planning for offering the possibility to the CSDs and the central bank to have, during the user testing phase, some volume testing, performance testing, non-functional testing, if they feel that what is covered by the 4CB is not sufficient. Maybe bad news for Oreste, or I don't know if it's a good news, but this volume or performance testing, since they will be rather demanding in terms of system availability and resources, they are likely in some cases to be organized over weekends, so which would require that the van providers are offering access to T2S during these weekends if needed, on the top of the migration test that you mentioned this morning.
Okay, I was also thinking about, just thought another, like a CCP failure. What would that do? Not to be the downer in the room, but...
Yeah, from our perspective, we are taking it here really from the technical fact. So the CCP failure might, so the regulatory or oversight aspect, we are not covering it as such. So I expect that the regulator will be overseeing, or the overseers will be overseeing the CCPs and checking whether they have the appropriate procedure to avoid that, and whether they are testing these cases themselves. Of course, the CCP in that case, they have to have some confidence on the fact that the facilities offered by T2S in terms of environment, etc., would allow them to do this type of test if they are required and during this phase. Uwe, maybe you join us
yes,
on
if there are no
table
further
here.
questions, yeah.
I mean, even if there are... Thank you very much. Do you have... This was not aiming at interrupting the series of questions. Do you have other questions to Uwe or Karen? No? Then I will have a question for them in that case. What we are saying from this morning is that these topics are very important, complex. We are stressing the urgencies, saying that there are many questions connected to this. They need to be answered. There is a lot to do, not that much time. Many forums and groups in which the participation is required. Many meetings to attend. So if I was a small organization, CSD, central bank, or bank, I would be a bit worried with this message. So what can you say to reassure them on the fact that they can make it? So what can be offered to them, or what is available, what are the ideas that can support them in meeting the challenges of being ready to T2S?
Well, maybe I start. Obviously, I'm a bit biased, right? Because I'm a service provider, I'm a custodian. I could now answer your question, well, if you feel you are too late, ask us, we'll help you. But that would be probably not the answer you're expecting. I think, definitely, the purpose of this event is definitely sort of a wake-up session. I think there are really a lot of things to do. But as I said, if you focus, if you decide, actually, this is what I want to do, this is my business model, and then actually compare what needs to be done in order to adjust my systems to actually support my business model with the T2S infrastructure, I think you probably can limit a variety of cases which are not valid for your personal business model. Right, so that should at least help to streamline and reduce the focus a bit. But it goes without saying, right? So if you are not concentrating now, you run the risk of being late, even if you decrease the scope.
Perhaps also a few thoughts from my side. I'm going to use a good example that I saw in the last few weeks. I attended the German NUG, and to use it as a positive example, there's a lot being done in terms of preparing the banks in Germany there. A lot of workshops coming up, and I think it's not the only NUG where a lot is happening today. But there were a series of workshops planned by Clearstream, planned by the Bundesbank going forward this year, and my tip would be to stay close to the CSD, stay close to the central bank in your preparations, ask them whatever is needed, and whatever your decisions relate to. If you don't have the let's say, enough personnel or technical understanding of T2S, you can use them as an input. You can also, of course, ask the T2S program office. That's what my team is there for as well, to clarify functional questions. But I've seen some very good examples in terms of the NUGs going out there and preparing their customers or the institutions that they have business relationships with. And it's also a call to everyone to make sure that you have in your country the forum where you can discuss the preparation to T2S, and that you really go into the intensive discussions in that direction. So use these forums, and it really has to come down to the details now. It's a matter of really importance there. Okay.
Anything to add, Uwe, on this? Karen, I was expecting you to do the same as Uwe, and to say we are the program office and you can send us whatever question and we'll answer. So, and you are pushing people to the NUGs. So, it's maybe then I give the floor to Monica about what the program office can do in this.
Well, I would say a few words. Let's say from the user testing and migration subgroup support that we can offer to the central bank CSDs and their clients. We intend also on our side to organize, let's say, TAC Team support, coordination team, which we intend to provide an interlocutor from our side on the user testing and migration side for each of the CSD and central bank, where we keep close contact in order to monitor and coordinate all the aspects and issues which appear in this context. And I think in this way we will be able, let's say, to be aware of all the issues, and then in case of to escalate them at a higher level.
Yeah, this is an important message on the top of the coordination role that Holger and Catherine stressed this morning. On the program office side, to support the market adaptation and preparation for the user testing and migration, we mentioned the TAC team and the service desk on the 4CB. The TAC team would be in place, so I say that we are now, the team is about 12 persons. We are 12 because we will be supporting the different CSDs and central bank individually. So each CSD and central bank will have a name, probably two with a backup on the program office side, in order to support on answering whatever question they might have in this current preparation phase, with collaboration from the service desk on the 4CB side on the potentially more technical aspect as well. So this info session is one step indeed to have a kind of summary from time to time about the achievement. But on a more permanent and regular basis, we'll be happy also to receive any question or feedback from you and try to answer it. I think Dimitri and Philippe then. Sorry, I think, would you mind, sorry, Philippe and Dimitri then.
Thank you. In that respect, in terms of support, will there be a direct access to? In that respect, in terms of support, will there be also a direct access to the 4CB?
Yes. So this is also Catherine was referring to the user testing terms of reference. So in the support and the coordination function on the Eurosystem side, including the program office and the 4CB, is described there, at least at a high level. So as a central bank, you have access already to this document, so and you have some information there on this aspect. Dimitri?
Well, just an additional comment that I wanted to make is, of course, there are plenty of discussions, plenty of meetings, and that could be, to some extent, misleading on which one should I attend, because not everybody can attend all meetings and so on. And there I think we have to avoid confusion, and because what you refer to what is taking place in Germany, and I think it's taking place in many markets actually, in all markets. In France we call it implementation committees, which are about to start and so on. And I understand the urgency. The point is also that in order to be fair in terms of information sharing. There is not only the organization of testing, is it 1, 2, 3 environments, is it now or in 3 months' time, and who should be supposed to attend and so on. One key pillar in this is definitely the service offering that CSDs are going to provide in the context of T2S. And it's not a surprise when we refer to the DCP forum, for instance. This was one of the first questions, if not the first question that was raised, which is fair, is can CSDs please be very clear on the service that they will offer, because everything that you were telling us in terms of strategy is basically must be supported by what the offering will be in that respect. And in that context, I think all CSDs have given a view on the timing by when they would clarify the service offering. It's actually coming. It's Q3 this year and Q1 next year that on average that CSDs will bring what we call the detailed service description in the context of T2S. And I think this is all, well, if I was a bank, I would say I need 2 elements. One is what is the offering of the CSDs, and that is actually strictly required in order to build your own strategies around T2S. And secondly is how will my market be organized around that, because there are specificities per markets, and there will be implementation committees organized, I think, in every market. And that is probably the best place to be if you want to follow without putting too much energy on it. Indeed, the TSC team and the services of the 4CB can be of help at some point in time, but in the context where there are so many players, so many forums and so on, I think we all have interest in avoiding confusion on where should I go, because that's one of the worry that I sense from time to time. I cannot go everywhere, and actually I don't know where to go. During the lunchtime, I got few questions like that. I think we need to be very clear on that in order to avoid creating unnecessary confusion around that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dimitri. I'm very happy that this comment came about the dependency on the service offering of the CSDs. Indeed, we can connect this to the presentation made by Karen when she was saying that key business decisions have to be taken today. Of course, the business decision will depend on the business offer that has to be defined by the CSDs and the NTBs, obviously. Yes.